Good morning and good afternoon. Hopefully everyone has had a great day today. Today I'm going to be continuing with my quick win review for our algebra end of course assessment. So I am going to be covering question 41 and onward. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Mr. Ocaña and I am a math teacher. And of course, I've taught 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Pre-Calculus, and Calculus 1. So once again, I'm honored to be here with you to show you a little bit about math and to show you some quick win problems with our Desmos calculator and our STAAR questions, which are from the 2018 to the 2025 release test. So the way I tell all my students is, number one, I would recommend for you to look at the problem, do the problem, pause the video, and then see how I work it. And then if you're on the right track, if you don't know how to do the problem, then I would recommend watch the video and rework the problem to see if you can get it correct. So let's start off with 41. What is a positive solution to this equation? So we have 4x squared plus 12x equals 135. Now, I want to draw your attention to this right here. This is not a Desmos friendly equation. So the way I would make this into a Desmos friendly equation is, let me go ahead and clear it. I would use my railroad track right here, and I would send this 135 into the other side. So what I would do is I would subtract 135 from this side, and I would subtract 135 for this side. But if I do a positive 135, negative 135, that gives me a 0, so that cancels that out. So that gives me an equation of 4x squared. That gives me positive 12x, and it gives me minus 135. Now this is a Desmos-friendly equation, which now 4x squared plus 12x minus 135, I can go ahead and input this in Desmos, and I can go ahead and get an answer. So then I'm going to go ahead and input it for x squared, and the reason I did that is I set it equal to 0, and it turned it into an equation. So I'm going to go ahead and input for x squared, positive 12x, minus 135. And there it is, my answers. I have a negative 7.5 as one of my answers. That is one of my zeros. And I have a 4.5 as another answer. But the question at hand here is, the question is, what is a positive solution? So a positive solution would be, of course, only 4.5. So this is the answer to this question right here. Now, I don't want to put the other one as negative 7.5 because this is not a positive. They're only asking for a positive solution. So the answer is 4.5. And remember, you can always set this equation equal to 0. And that's the same thing as saying y. Y equals to 4x squared plus 12x minus 135. So that solves this problem. Okay, let's look at the next problem. So the next problem is interesting because it gives you a graph. It is a linear. So I'm going to write it down. It is a linear graph. I'm going to look at my x value, and I can see my x value is also called domain. And my y value, like we've learned in class, is called range. So my domain and my range is right there. So let me go ahead and delete it. I have my domain, my x again, and I have my range as being my y. So if you look at the domain, my domain goes from 0 to 50, and my range goes from 0 all the way to 100. So my range is all the way to 100, and my domain is from 0 to 50. So automatically, by looking at the answer choices, which answer choice best describes the domain and the range of the function? The domain of B is incorrect. and the domain of D and range is incorrect. Both domain and range are incorrect. Why? Because it's not saying just -2. It's saying all the numbers between there. So now we have to read each one. Letter A. So now we have a 50-50 chance to get it right because this one is a domain and a range. So now we're going to read the first one. The first one states, domain, all real numbers greater than or equal to 0 or less than or equal to 100. So if we look at our domain is this right here. And our domain is from 0 to 50. You can already say that is wrong because all real numbers greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 100. That is incorrect, so this one is wrong. Let's look at C. Domain, all real numbers greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 50. Look at your domain. It ranges from 0 all the way to 50. That is correct, so this is a correct answer. And our range is all real numbers greater than or equal to 0, less than or equal to 100. So I look at right here in green. This is my range. 0 to 100. The correct answer choice is C. The domain of all real numbers greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 50. That is correct right here. And all real numbers greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 100. That is also correct. Okay, we're going to go ahead and solve the next one, 43. If you want to try that one on your own, you can. Let me go ahead and clear up decimals. Remember that on this equation, instead of writing this, I'm going to go ahead and write 210 x squared minus 63x. And all I have to do is replace all these with just the x's. So that's all I have to do. So these are all going to be x replacements. So let me go ahead and input the first one into Desmos, and we're going to let Desmos do all the work for us. So then I'm going to input 210 x squared, and then I'm going to go minus 63 x, and let's look at the graph. Sometimes I need to enlarge it to see the graph. Okay, there's my Desmos, there's my vertex. I have my vertex right there. Remember, in order for them to be equivalent, I got to make sure that they are equal. So I'm going to input every single one, and hopefully I get lucky on the first one, so I won't have to input all of them. So I'm going to do letter F, 21x, open parentheses, 10x, minus 3, close parentheses, and I'm going to look at my green, and I'm going to look at my blue, and they look practically identical. So on the first try, I think I got the right answer. So let me just make sure. Let's look thoroughly at another point. They're right on top of each other. I'm going to take this one off. I'm going to put this one on. I'm going to put that one on top. Looks like I got the right one. So the correct answer is F. And then how do I check this problem? I'm going to go ahead and use my distributive property, 21. And if I want to leave the x by itself, I can. If I want to put the d, I can. I'm going to leave the x. Open parentheses, 10x minus 3. And that is an x. And then I'm going to distribute 21x times 10x. And that gives me 210x squared. And I'm going to distribute 21x minus 3 is negative 63x. Now I'm going to look at that. Does it give me the same as that? 210x squared minus 63x. And that is not only once or twice. I got it 3 times. Correctly done. Now, if I want to check G just to prove that they're wrong, I would just input this letter G. 21, and I'm going to get rid of this green one. I'm going to input 21x, open parentheses, I would do 10x plus 3, And there it is. It's not even equal. It's got to be very overlapping. It's got to be right on top of the other one. And of course, G would be wrong. I would do the same thing with letter H, and I would do the same thing with letter J. So if you look at that, there's only one small little thing on this one. It almost looks identical, but they didn't put a D. So that one would probably be wrong because a D times by itself is just the D by itself. Remember, you cannot add chickens and ducks. You got to only add, you can't add chickens and ducks. The x squared is a duck and the x is a chicken. So that is very, very good. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. So our next one is this one, the graph of the function, quadratic. The graph of the quadratic parent function f was transformed to create the function g of x of f of x plus 2 minus 5. So what they're really doing here is they're saying, well, my parent function is x squared. So this is always my parent function right here, x squared. So that is what I'm going to input on Desmos number 1. On Desmos number 2, I'm going to see what they're going to do to this x. Well, they're telling me I'm going to go ahead and do the x plus 2 square, and then I'm going to subtract 5 to that. So if I do x plus 2 square, and I subtract 5 to that, I'm just going to use Desmos, and I'm going to go ahead and input the parent function. The parent function is the original function, and the parent function is always x squared of a quadratic. Remember, they're asking for the parent function. Parent function, the original function is always x squared. All the time when you deal with quadratics. And what are they doing to the x squared? They're adding 2. Which they're adding 2 right here, and they're subtracting 5. But you gotta remember, when they add 2, it's quantity square. So on the first one, I would just put x squared. And the second one, I would just do the open parentheses, x plus 2, close parentheses, quantity square, minus 5. So let's see what happened to the quadratic here. So we have a red one. It's got a vertex of -2, -5. They're saying it got transformed. So automatically a -2, -5. This one, -2, -5 would be here. So automatically this one is wrong. If I look at this one, -2, -5, that could be a correct answer, so H could be correct. If I look at the next one, -2, -5, this one is wrong. And then I'm going to look at the last one, -2, -5, this one is wrong. So just by looking at that, the parent function x squared got transformed to x plus 2 quantity square minus 5. The only correct one that really looks like that on the red on Desmos is of course this one. So the letter choice H. So we're going to look at which value of x is a solution to the equation. Once again, all you do is input this into Desmos and you get your two solutions. Our two solutions are our zeros, and that should give us our answer. So remember, when they're giving you a quadratic like this, you got the quadratic, the solutions are always your zeros. Your solutions are always your zeros. And right here, you look at the equation, and it's already set to equal to 0. That's what I did the first one with. So all I have to do is input it into Desmos and let Desmos do the work for us. Got 5x squared minus 36x, positive 36. And there it is. Our solutions are 1.2 and 6. So our solutions are our zeros are 6 comma 0 and 1.2 comma 0. I look at my decimals, 1.2 comma 0 and 6 comma 0. Automatically this one's wrong. It's not a negative 6. There's no 4. That one's wrong. Negative 1.8, it's not a correct one. The only correct one is letter J. Remember that we're just solving for it, and this is a good way to solve it. An easy way. Okay, let's take a look at number 46. Which graph represents a solution? And we got to look at this one. If you look at this, we know that this is a dotted line. Why is it a dotted line? Because it's not an greater than or equal to or less than or equal to means that it's going to be a solid line. If it doesn't have a line underneath the less than or greater than sign, then of course it's going to be dotted. If you look at your answers, automatically it could be C, it can be D, but these are solids. You cannot have those. Those are wrong. So already I have a 50-50 chance to get it right. Now that I know it dotted, now I have to just read it. Is y greater than 3x minus 4? Or is y less than? This sign is pointing towards the positive. So this means it is greater than. So the way you do this is you have two dotted lines. It's either shaded bottom, right here. This is less than, and this is greater. So the question is, does it represent y is greater than 3x minus 4? It is letter D, because it is a greater than shading. So any of these solutions right here, because it's greater than, would be an answer. So the answer is letter D because it is dotted. Let's take a look at the next one. Which table shows you shows y as a function? So remember the keyword for function. Using the vertical line test, you cannot have two zeros as the x's. So if you have two zeros automatically that are the same, automatically it would not be a function. So you can't have two of the same x's or zero, whatever you want to call them if you think zero. Okay, so we're going to look at letter F. Does it have two of the same zeros? Well, actually this one has four of the same zeros. So this is not a function. I look at G. Does it have two of the same zeros? It does. This is not a function. I look at H. Does it have any of the two zeros? Nope. And I look at J. Does it have any of the two zeros? Here, here. No, no. The answer is letter H. So this is a very interesting one because remember, when you have a function, you cannot have two of the same x's. Any of the two x's, that means the vertical line test will fail and you're going to have the same exact point. So that is the rule of any function. You cannot have the same number as an x. So the only answer choice is letter H. Okay, let's look at number 48. If you want to try that one, this one is just table inputting. If we read this, the company collected the data. The table shows the number of text messages sent to billions of customers. And very simple right here. This is a keyword that you got to circle. Quadratic. It's got to be quadratic. So once again, this would be an easy table inputting. All you have to do is input it into decimals and let decimals do the work. So I'm going to use my table function and I'm just going to input these values into the table form. How do I find the table? I add the plus sign and I just input. I'm going to put 5 and all this is just inputting. And remember the key word. It's got to be quadratic. So I have 10 10. I have 15, 17. And as you can see, I can already start seeing my shape form, 20. And the only way that you will get this problem wrong is if you do not input correctly. And that's what I saw in class today. The table is easy. It's just making the small little mistakes that, oh, I inputted the wrong one. I didn't put my negative here. And that's it. Or doing it too fast. Remember that you have about 7 to 8 hours on the STAAR. So you don't need to rush. You can take your time, do the problems how you see, taking your time, and then that way you can get the correct answer. So all it is inputting it correctly. So let me see if I did them correctly. 86 and 40, comma 112. And then what am I going to do next? I already start seeing my graph form. I'm going to go ahead and enlarge it full screen. I'm going to shrink it a little. See my little U-shape form? There's my U-shape. Gives me part of it. I got to see it is a quadratic, so I am going to add regression here. And you see how it gives me right here linear. I'm going to switch this because remember that it's not a linear. It's telling me in the question that it's a quadratic function. So I'm going to go ahead and add the right here on Desmos. I'm going to go down and I'm going to put quadratic. And there is my U-shape. That one has a minimum and it keeps on going up and up and up and up. So the question at hand is, what is my answer? So I have y equals to 0.07, and if I want to add this, export the snapshot to the expression list, I can put that, and it will export my number here. But again, sometimes it's very easy to do that, but sometimes it isn't. Like this one has a big decimal. So automatically, if I look at my answer choices, which one would it be correct? 0.0721429 x squared. Automatically, this one is wrong. 0.72 x squared, this one could be correct. This one is wrong. And this one could be correct. But then I move on to the next one. Minus 0.14881. So I look at the problem and it's like, this one looks like a negative 0.15. But look at this one, doesn't have 1. So that's wrong. And if I look at my last one right here, on Desmos, positive 2.73. This one's right, but then again, it has a missing one. So the answer choice is letter B. So very easy problem if we know how to use the table function, if we know how to convert this table into a quadratic regression. And once again, how do you get quadratic regression? All you do is come to your problem and it tells you right there, it's a quadratic function. Quadratic function. This is the key word right here, quadratic. So let's go on to our next one. Okay, this one's a good one, an interesting one, a lot of Desmos here action. What is the equation and slope-intercept form of the line that passes through the point 5, 0 and is parallel to the line representing that one? So let me go ahead and clear up Desmos because this one is going to really take some work. So if you look at this, if parallel lines, one of the key things that we have to know about parallel lines is parallel lines have equal slopes or equal rate of changes. So if I look at this problem, my rate of change is 1.2. So if parallel lines have equal lines, equal slopes, equal rate of changes, my rate of change is 1.2. So if they have equal, automatically I can get rid of B and I can get rid of D. because it's not a negative 1.2, it is a positive. They have to have the same slope because they're never going to touch, they're never going to meet. So now I only have this one and I have this one. So there's two ways I can do this, because this is a good problem, because this is one of our key features. If you look at that, and it doesn't necessarily always give us this, but they actually give us right here, if you look at this in red, they actually give us an x-intercept because it's 5, 0. So you can go ahead and put this on Desmos, and find out which one passes through 5, 0, and that is your answer, because it can be A, it can be D. So let's put both of those equations on Desmos, and you let Desmos do the work for you. So let me go ahead and shrink it. I'm going to go ahead and put it, and I don't have to put that y, I can just input it 1.2. X minus 6, here's 1, and 1.2, x positive 5, and I have 2 lines, and sometimes some of our students like to put in like 20 lines here, and it confuses me, so I always like to focus on one line. So the one line that I have here, the point has to have 5, 0. So I gotta just enlarge it, and I gotta see, does it pass through 5, 0? There it is. It does. So that is my answer. 5, 0. Right now that's looking like it might be correct, but I want to choose the other one. I want to check the other one. So this one could be an answer. Let's check the other one. So I'm going to get rid of that one, and I'm going to put this one in. Okay, so now I want to find my x-intercept. My x-intercept is negative 4.167. That doesn't give me 5, 0. It gives me 0, 5, but it's an upside down. So then this one would be wrong. And of course, even if I don't know that this is 5, 0, I can also input this into Desmos. And on number 3, I can put 5, 0, close parentheses. And then it labels it for me right there. I see that it doesn't even get close. I can even put a label, and it labels it for me, and it doesn't even get close. But if I take this one out, and I get this one, and it passes right through it. It even moves it conveniently for me to say 5, 0 is your x-intercept, and 5, 0 is the point. The answer choice, checking it 3 times, the answer choice is correct, letter A. Okay, the next one. The next one is an easy one. This one is a table. So the key word here is you have a linear equation, a linear function, and you're giving me 2 points. They're giving me one right there and one right there, and they're asking for our rate of change. And of course, I'm given these 2 points, and all they're asking for is rate of change, which is another word for slope. Remember that rate of change is slope, slope is rate of change is slope, and it is a linear equation. We know it's going to be a negative slope because it's going to go nice, negative. The duck is going down the slide. He's going a negative slope. So all I have to do is use my table function and input the table, and I'm going to use the first one, negative 3. Y is 3.6. And now you don't have to be scared of those decimals, because all you have to do is input them correctly, and Desmos does all the work for you. 5, 2 is the next one. There it is. I'm going to add regression. And there is my equation. So if I want to push this button right here, it exports my snapshot. I already know that y equals to negative 0.2. So this right here is negative 0.2. This is 0.2 right here. X plus 3. So automatically I know my slope is the number next to the letter, and it's a negative 0.2, and that is my rate of change. So my rate of change, or my slope, is equal to negative 0.2. It says record your answers, but again, it might be multiple choice, it might be a drag and drop, or it might be some type of other question. So again, that is easy question. I can export it and I can get our answer there. If you want to try the next one is a good one because it tells you which function is equivalent to q of x, where 9x squared minus 24x plus 16. And you got to tell me, is it f, g, h, or j? The other one that you can also do is finding the domain and range of this one. So let me go ahead and shrink it down because we're going to do both of them together. And g of x is equal to negative 1/4, open parentheses, x minus 17 squared plus 61. And of course, I can figure out my domain and I can figure out my range. But you can try those, pause the video, try them both, and then after that, reactivate the video and see if you got the right answers. So let's get on to solve number 51. So we have 51. All I'm going to do is input this equation, and remember, I don't want to worry about this x, right, the q of x. Don't worry about it. You may want to input it, but there's no need to input it. All I have to do is input the equation. So 9x squared minus 24 positive 16. And there it is. It's got my x-intercept, it's got my vertex, it's got my y-intercept. So now I'm just going to enlarge it a little. So remember that they has to overlap. So I'm going to go ahead and input every single one of them and see which one matches. So remember, we don't have to worry about those q's. Just disregard them and input the first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. And let's figure out which one is the correct one. So I'm going to open parentheses 9x minus 4, close parentheses, open parentheses, x minus 4. And automatically I know that this is not even close, so then this one is a wrong answer. And of course, I like to leave them there because what happens if none of them are correct, then that means an inputting error happens. So I'm going to go 3x plus 4, close parentheses, quantity square. And that one looks like it, but they're not right on top of each other, so then this one would be wrong too. The next one, I'm going to go ahead and take out the color of purple, and I'm going to do the last one. The third one. And I'm going to go ahead and put 9x positive 4. And sometimes I tend to make mistakes, so you got to check my work. X plus 4. And we will troubleshoot it together in case I do a wrong problem. That one is wrong also. Oh. These are interesting because then that means I have to check every single one of them, and it does help me practice. I'm going to do the last one, and I'm going to go ahead and open parentheses, 3x minus 4, close parentheses, quantity square. There it is. That is our answer. So then I always want to double check it because that is the closest. I want to take out this one, the blue. It's the same. And I want to take out the red. It's the same. There you go. Our answer is J because it is overlapping and it is exactly the same. So what about this one? What is the domain and range? So then again, let me go ahead and get rid of this right here so we can see the color. And then I'm going to go ahead and say, well, my domain is my X. Don't forget. And my range is my Y. So my domain is my X and range is a Y. It's also in alphabetical order. Domain is X and range is Y. So now they're asking for domain and range. So all I have to do is input this. And remember that I do not have to input g of x. All I have to do is input the rest into decimals. So I'm going to go ahead and input it. It's going to be negative 1 divided by 4. And I'm going to do the space. I'm going to move decimals a little over. I'm going to do the space. I'm going to open parentheses. I'm going to do x minus 17. close parentheses, quantity square, positive 61, and then I have my graph. So question at hand, looking at that right there is a maximum because of course the vertex is at the very top. So that is a maximum. So now I'm going to check to see which is my domain. Now remember what we discussed in class. Whenever we do domain, usually it's all the real numbers. So our domain can be F because it keeps on expanding, and it can be H. Automatically domain is wrong. This domain is wrong because why? Because the domain, the x value keeps on expanding outward. That's true for all parabolas. Now the range one. And we're going to look at 61. And we're looking at range being the y. So if you look at the vertex, it's a maximum 17, 61. So is it g of x is less than or equal to 61? Or is it x is less than or equal to 17? Now, automatically, range is not an x. Range is a y. So this one is wrong. So by process of elimination, G is the correct answer. Hold on. Backtrack. This is incorrect. So, backtracking. It could be H or it can be F. G is wrong because the domain is all real numbers. J is wrong because the domain is not g of x. Now I can either have range of less than or equal to 61, which is this one, or I can have x is less than or equal to 17. Remember, the range is not an x, the range is a y. So same type of concept. I know this one is wrong, so this one is wrong. Now, is the range g of x? Well, y is g of x. G of x is a fancy word of saying y. G of x is the same thing as saying y. Y is the same thing as saying g of x. And they're saying y is less than or equal to 61 right here. Is y less than or equal to 61? Well, that's my vertex. That's my maximum, 61, and all numbers below 61. That is correct. And the answer is letter F. I apologize for the first one. That was incorrect. But now I got the correct one. So that the answer is letter F. Domain is all real numbers. And the g of x is another fancy word of saying y. Okay, the next one. We have which graph best represents y equals to negative x squared positive 6x minus 1. And all it is inputting in decimals and making sure that they match. And automatically, by putting it into decimals, you can eliminate two of them. So we got negative x squared, positive 6x, minus 1. Let's look at that. Look at that graph. I got my 3, 8. I have my zeros. Okay, so automatically C is out because that's a minimum. B is out. That's a minimum. So it can be D or A. That's a 50-50 chance just by looking at the graph. Now let's see which one is correct. We are looking at your vertex. The vertex is 3, 10 here. Give or take 3, 10. This is my vertex. If I look at this vertex, this is going to be 3, 8. So just by looking at the graphs, this one is wrong, this one is correct. But I want to further check it. Well, here's my x-intercept, 0.17 and 5.8. Let's see it. Yes. And about 5.8. Yes. So that is also correct. So the correct answer choice is letter A for that one. Let me pause. You can pause it and you can do the next two. Which expression is equivalent to square root of 184? A, B, C, or D? That's an easy one. And which expression is equivalent? Another one. But all you have to do is actually rewrite it. Minus 25. And that gives you your answer. And all you do, replace all the n's with x's. So let's try 54. So if you want to do those on your own, you can go ahead and do them. Let me go ahead and get on with doing it. So square root of 184. All I do is input it into decimals, 13.56. And then I go here and I check every single one. 92 is not equivalent already. That one is wrong. Now I'm going to input the first one. And I'm going to say, well, 2 square roots of 46. Looks correct to me. The answer choice is B. But once again, this is an easy problem, and I want to make sure that I get this one correct. So I want to eliminate to make sure that I have this one at 100%. 4 square roots of 23. Not even close. This one is wrong. And 4 square roots of 46. Not even close. This one is wrong. I guaranteed that this one is double checked. That is the correct answer. Okay, let's do 55. So I'm going to go ahead and scratch those out. And I'm going to go ahead and which expression is equivalent to 9n squared minus 25. So all I'm going to do is input 5x squared into decimals. Let decimals do the work for us. Minus 25. There it is. And remember that I got to make sure that they are equivalent. So I'm going to input every single one of them. And I'm going to go ahead and check to see if it is correct. So this is 3x squared. No, 3x plus 5. No, 3x minus 5, sorry. Minus 5. It's close. Quantity square. Nope, this one is wrong. It might be another one that we have to check every single one. Let's check G. So I like to leave that one there, and I like to re-input the next one. So the next one is 3x plus 5. Close parentheses, open parentheses, 3x minus 5. Aha. So once again, I look at that one. They kind of look the same. I look at my x-intercepts. I look at my vertex. I want to make it deeper there. And I want to take out the green. I want to just have the black. Take off that. I want to have the green. Then I need for it to overlap it right on top of each other. And that is correct. So the answer choice is letter G. Now another way to do this is through the factoring method. So the factoring method, and I know we've never done this in class, but for those of you that understand the factoring method, all you do is take the square of each, and this is called a difference of squares. So this would be positive, this would be negative, and I take the square root of this, square root of this, square root of 9x squared is going to be 3x, 3x, and then square root of negative 25, well, square root of 25 is 5, and 5. So my difference of square factoring would be 3x plus 5 and 3x minus 5, which is also the answer choice to that. But that is the factoring method. We have never done that in class. But again, if you know how to factor, that is an easy way also to check our work. And then you do the FOIL method or the box method, and it should give you this. So the answer choice is letter G. Okay, so let's look at 56. So this one is an interesting problem. And let me tell you why it's an interesting problem, because it's not in y equals mx plus b. But this is going to be a very easy problem to convert into y equals mx plus b. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this to this side like this, and I'm going to put it over here, because this is minus 2. This is positive 2, minus 2, positive 2. But what I do to one side of the railroad, I have to do to the other. So this is a minus 2, minus 2. Now it's in y equals mx plus b. I can do this one positive 2. This one's in y equals mx plus b. This one is minus 2. This is in y equals mx plus b. And this is positive 2. This is in y equals mx plus b. Why? Because these are all canceled out, and that gives me the y. Now, this one is going to be interesting because I'm looking for this correct one. So I need to find one that has an x-intercept of 4, 0. I need to find one that has a y-intercept of negative 3, 4. So what am I going to do? All I'm going to do is input every single one into Desmos and let Desmos do the work for us. So the first one is 7/5. And then I'm going to do the space. I'm going to open parentheses. I'm going to do x plus 7. Close parentheses, minus 2. And then I'm going to check, does this have a y-intercept of negative 3? Not even, y-intercept of negative 3, not even close. So this one is a wrong answer. The next one is 7/5. So I would just input, and I would, for the time, I'm just going to go ahead and change it and make this into a minus. And then I'm going to make this into a plus because they're all similar. And I'm going to check, does it have a y-intercept of negative 3 and a 4? So I'm going to check it. Nope. And nope. So again, that one is wrong. So this one is incorrect. So then I'm going to do the other one, and I'm just going to replace it. Instead of 7/5, I'm going to put 5/7. I'm going to do 5, and I'm going to replace it with 7. And then I'm going to put x plus 7 minus 2. So my y-intercept is 3. Automatically that one is wrong because my y-intercept is negative 3. Now the wrong one. And I'm going to try my last one, and it's going to be x minus 7. Positive 2. And here we go. My y-intercept is negative 3, and my x-intercept is 4. It's about negative 3, and my x-intercept is 4.2, which is correct. So the correct answer choice is letter D. Very complicated one. But once again, all you do is practice, practice, practice. And it does this one. I can tell you it is a complicated one to do. Let's do 57. Which expression is equivalent to 4 square roots of 147? So all you have to do is input that one and find out which one matches to our equivalent square. So we have 147. I got to find one that matches. So all I'm going to do is input every single one. Square root of 3. Nope, not even close. This one's wrong. 12 square roots of 7. Nope, not even close. The second one is wrong. 3 square roots of 7. So I'm going to input 3 square roots of 7. 7.9. Wrong. It's prior D, but it's good to check it. So I'm going to go ahead and put 28 square roots of 3. So I'm going to input 28 square roots of 3. There it is. Our answer choice is letter D. If we look at 58, This one is also quadratic, and all you have to do is input it. And I'm going to show you an easy way rather than inputting. You can check every single one, but I would input the 0, 0 like this. That's a 0. 6, 0. And then I'm going to get my vertex at being 3 right here. My x is 3 and my y is -9. So I'm going to go ahead and input those points, put into quadratic, and let Desmos do the work for us. So I'm going to go ahead and input 0, 0. I'm going to input 6, 0. I'm going to input 3, -9. I'm going to add regression. Remember, it's a U-shape, so it's a quadratic. And I'm going to go ahead and put the U-shape as quadratic. And there it is. 1x squared. All these are correct. Minus 6x. That one. Plus 0. Our answer choice is letter H. And again, if you want to look at it, all you have to do is put the equation, export it. Let me get rid of this one. All you have to do is export it, and there it is, the same one, at 1x squared, which is x squared minus 6x, plus 0, and the answer choice is letter H. 59 is another one, very easy. Go ahead and try that one. Rate of change is the same word for slope. Slope is the rate of change. Rate of change is slope. So all you have to do is input that one into a table and let Desmos do the work for you. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this, and I'm going to go ahead and do a table format, and I'm going to go ahead and input the x's as -8.5, comma -92, and -6.5, comma -72, -2.5, -32, and -1, -17. I'm going to add regression. And there it is. There's my equation, 10x right here, 10x. My slope is 10. I want to export it. My 10x right here. My slope is 10. So once again, y equals to 10x minus 7. My slope is 10. My rate of change is 10. The letter is A. And our last one for today is number 60. It is a system of linear equations. And once again, we are looking for two that have all these characteristics. But luckily for us, which system of linear equations does it represent? Luckily for us is that they're on y equals mx plus b. So once again, it gives you the answer right there. So all we have to do is just input it into Desmos at minus x minus 4. And then I'm going to do this one. I'm testing this one out. It is 2x minus 2. And once again, they have to match. All I have to know is the answer has to be somewhere here. It's got to have all these points. And just by looking at it, the answer is about right here, -6. So automatically the first one is wrong. So the next one, I would input it. It's the same thing. Gonna delete it. We'll start from scratch. -x plus 4 right here. And then I have 2x minus 4 minus 4. And look at where my answer is. it's way here. But this one is right here. So this one automatically would be wrong. So already I have a 50-50 chance to get it right. So is it H or is it J? So we're going to go ahead and do it. Let's do this one. X minus 4 and negative 2x minus 2. Negative 2x minus 2, x minus 4, and automatically this one is not in the same quadrant as this one. So I already know that most likely it's going to be letter J. But I also want to test it to make sure it's correct. So all I'm going to do is input this one, x plus 4. Not x plus 44, x plus 4. And then I have negative 2x. And there it is. Point is around negative 2.6 and 1.3. And that's about negative 2.6 and 1.3. That is your correct answer. And of course, if you want to check your x-intercepts right here, you want to check that that's there. Yes, it is right here. I want to check the other intercept right here. This one should be about right here. Yes, yes. And I want to check the other graph, and the x-intercept on this one is negative 2. Yes. And the y-intercept is about right here, and it is right here. Yes, so it matches everything. The correct answer is letter J. Double check, triple check, quadruple checked. So once again, I hope this has helped you a lot in the STAAR review. The only one that I really thought was complicated was this one, because we have never done this one in class. So if you don't understand 56, it's okay not to understand it. But once again, it's just about learning how to manipulate and learning how to input decimals. Once again, I hope this has helped you and supported you. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to let me know. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you in class.